The United States of America has reportedly activated a specialized task force specifically designed to inflict additional damage and destruction upon Iran's maritime capabilities. This significant development became clearly evident from information officially released by the U.S. Central Command over the past 24 hours. They specifically mentioned the activation of the Scorpion Strike Unit, which we can observe right here. This group first emerged in December of last year, and it primarily specializes in the operation and launching of the new American explosive drones, specifically the Phoenix Ghost drones, which were fundamentally designed by the United States of America to be highly identical and very similar to the Iranian Shahed 136 explosive drones. Essentially, these aircraft were deployed throughout the American Central Command region from the very first moment, and since the announcement of this division, as well as specifically these unmanned drones. It is certainly believed that these drones are deployed towards the Arabian Gulf, specifically in the direction of the Iranian coast within this particular region. Yet, U.S. Central Command has not specified precisely where they are deployed, but what is clear is that there was a test conducted last December by the USS Santa Barbara. This American logistical support ship, from which the very first LOX drones were launched in this specific manner. The U.S. Army's own publication, Stars and Stripes, had previously confirmed this particular experiment conducted from this very ship involving this specific drone precisely in the Arabian Gulf. This clearly indicates that these types of aircraft have now become widely deployed. And what Central Command has announced is that this particular unit has commenced launching attacks for the very first time ever, utilizing these unmanned aerial vehicles against crucial targets within Iranian territory. At the same time, they showcased American HIMARS rocket launchers, which were seen firing missiles at targets deep inside Iran, as Central Command confirmed. We observed that HIMARS missiles had previously struck Iranian ballistic missile platforms, as we can see. Therefore, it is not solely American warplanes or Israeli aircraft that are carrying out operations against Iran's missile capabilities primarily. It is widely believed that these HIMARS rocket launchers, specifically the M142 system, are thought to have been sent and deployed in significantly larger numbers recently within the Arab Gulf states. This was done via C-17 Globemaster aircraft, which have arrived in substantial quantities and large numbers in the Middle East region, specifically heading towards the Arab Gulf states. The U.S. Navy had previously taken these very photos of the same missile launcher, which appeared on American amphibious assault groups or were seen aboard them. However, given that amphibious landing groups are currently absent from the Arabian Gulf, and considering we're seeing images from this region with its distinctive sandy terrain, it bears a striking resemblance to the vast uninhabited desert regions or the expansive wilderness found throughout the Arabian Gulf. And given that this particular rocket launcher, specifically the M142 HIMARS, has an impressive range of 300 to 400 kilometers, its reach within the Arabian Gulf extends almost entirely to the Iranian coastline. We're talking about 200 kilometers or perhaps a little more. This distance is perfectly suitable for them to deploy in this region and deliver the necessary strikes deep into Iranian territory and against Iranian targets. Why did the situation escalate? Why were LOX drones and even HIMARS rocket launchers activated? It is for a critically important reason. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps closed the Strait of Hormuz. This is when these capabilities were activated primarily to strike the Iranian Navy, because the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, even at this very moment, is closing the Strait of Hormuz, and the Strait of Hormuz appears like this. You can observe how the vessels are scattered and clustered here. Puakan near the United Arab Emirates completely at a standstill. They are not operational. This image was captured earlier this afternoon, and it clearly illustrates how all these ships are currently unable to navigate through the Strait of Hormuz heading towards Oman. And the strait is completely deserted. Yes, this image is considered entirely empty, because usually the image does not appear this way, and this might just be... Perhaps this better illustrates that there is absolutely no movement. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard began attacking tankers and ships that they claim disregard Iran's instructions for closing the Strait of Hormuz. It was observed that reports primarily indicated that between 100 and 150 tankers and ships were gathered in this specific area along the shores of the Emirates and also off the Omani coastlines, essentially by the Iranian side, serving as evidence of their attacks. According to that, the British Maritime Trade Authority, Iraq again and Iran attacked an oil tanker here in the Gulf of Oman. This particular attack was carried out with a direct hit, causing significant damage. Consequently, there were filmed images of this tanker showing the crew being evacuated from the vessel. However, the tanker eventually sank, and this represents a very serious decision and a dangerous development. The Iranian side did not stop there. No, it also attacked another vessel, believed to be an oil tanker, struck in that direction today. The British Maritime Trade Organization confirmed that a projectile had hit this vessel. Therefore, you are closing the Strait of Hormuz. You are striking the Arab Gulf states. You are targeting oil tankers. This will lead to a very significant rise in oil prices. It might not please the United States of America, nor even the world. And so, we're seeing the activation of loitering munitions, which are crucial for the United States, alongside the rocket artillery systems, given the significant American capabilities deployed here in a manner that absolutely cannot be underestimated. This clearly indicates that the United States is planning a substantial operation against the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, which has effectively closed this vital strait. That the primary targets, as we have observed and as Central Command has announced concerning missile launchers, are striking the missile platforms and also the subterranean bases from which these missiles are launched. Firstly, to fundamentally weaken these capabilities. Why? To protect American bases and deployed American forces, and also to protect our allies. And furthermore, we the at the very same time, it also struck the specific radar systems of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, and additionally it targeted the defensive systems that were deployed within this particular area, all in order to achieve a significant degree of freedom. In terms of movement, both in aerial maneuvers and in surprise attack operations, this could potentially be accomplished through the utilization or deployment of Lucas aircraft, or even by employing rocket launchers in coordination with the United States Navy. It's particularly important that the American aircraft carrier, the USS Abraham Lincoln, is playing a role in the attacks coming from this direction. And one of the pieces of evidence that clearly shows you the United States is working towards preparing for a major attack to open the Strait of Hormuz and to restore and protect international navigation in general. You'll notice that one of the radars that was hit is the primary radar system located in Bandar Abbas. Yes, this is the minor of Bandar Abbas, which we are now approaching. And these are the specific radar systems of the Revolutionary Guard, which are utilized for early warning operations and general surveillance. There was a detailed depiction of the nature of the assault that was launched against this radar. It is quite possible that Lucas aircraft were responsible for targeting these radars, or even rocket launchers, without a doubt. And this was precisely the same shot and the exact same angle, which clearly illustrates that the new radar installations currently under construction are not yet finished. And the two radar systems located here, which, as we can clearly observe, have been extensively struck and rendered inoperable. Furthermore, the entire area of Bandar Abbas has been completely and severely impacted. Roughly an hour before this program began, official news and statements came from US President Donald Trump confirming that America had sunk 9 Iranian ships and destroyed the Iranian naval headquarters. This clearly indicates that with the activation of this division and Iran's naval capabilities, following the Iranian decision to close regarding the Strait of Hormuz, the United States is working to destroy and deplete the Iranian Navy at this stage. But then, of course, there are Iranian air defenses present that cannot be underestimated in the Arabian Gulf region and the Strait of Hormuz. And even the Israeli side essentially designates them as a red zone. And this clearly indicates that any flight operation there is not an easy task. And there is certainly no freedom to conduct flights in that designated red area. But the area in blue here, which represents Western Iran, there is complete freedom for overflights by the United States, or even from the Israeli side, or any other country, of course, without a doubt. And therefore, as we observe here, for example, if we take an example of what is happening in these areas in red, for instance, Shiraz, you will notice that there were air defenses engaging with a number of American unmanned aerial vehicles. Furthermore, footage released by the Iranian side clearly indicates that the strike impacted the American MQ-9 Reaper drone. It appears that the Iranian air defense systems were successful in shooting down this aircraft, which was reportedly operating in the southern regions we previously indicated. The Israeli side is primarily focused on striking these defenses as effectively as possible, thereby clearing the path to achieve greater operational freedom deep within Iranian territory. This is what the Israeli Ministry of Defense has announced, stating that the strikes over the past 48 hours have achieved a great deal. They targeted defenses in the west and also defenses in the central regions. And observe now, the area marked in blue has now become situated in the center, and it is also moving in the direction of the Iranian capital, Tehran. Therefore, the administrator turn there is now great freedom achieved for directing strikes. And when Tehran and central Iran are in this state, it opens the door for a coming operation, one that could involve B-52 strategic bombers, which will have significant freedom in the blue areas to fly and move towards the guards' positions, to strike the guards' capabilities, and for that to lead later in a coming stage to the overthrow of the Iranian regime, of course, and to open the conditions for its downfall. And the B-52s could indeed take to the skies at any given moment. However, the atmospheric conditions absolutely must be favorable to facilitate their operation. And fundamentally, Benjamin Netanyahu has quite clearly begun investing in the matter of regime change. Just today, he stated, we shall prepare the circumstances for the courageous people of Iran to liberate themselves from the bonds of tyranny. Oh, citizens of Iran, do not let this opportunity slip from your grasp. And indeed, many targets have been struck in this manner in the Iranian capital, Tehran, today. And you can observe these are parts of the major strikes that have come upon the capital. One of the locations that had already been targeted was this specific site, which serves as the primary headquarters for the Iranian police force in Tehran. It was utterly devastated, completely destroyed by foreign Israeli forces. Additionally, another significant target was one of the main headquarters belonging to the Iranian Basij, the paramilitary force that actively confronted and suppressed the Iranian demonstrations. There were extremely severe and brutal suppression operations carried out by the Basij, now striking their headquarters in this manner. Not only that, but also it was announced that the commander of Iranian police intelligence was killed in the Israeli attack operation that took place. This has taken place in the past few hours, and consequently the police have been subjected to attacks, and it is highly probable that more such strikes are forthcoming. Targeting Iranian police headquarters, this would significantly weaken intelligence, security forces, police and other agencies. Coupled with the current economic conditions and other issues, this presents a significant opening and a major chance for the Iranian opposition or the protesters to gain control of the ministries and the government as a whole. Iran is hitting all targets and continues to strike the entire region. The attacks have now expanded from targeting individual nations. Qatar, for example, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Bahrain, Kuwait and Erbil, or the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, or even striking Israel. It has also begun directing fiercer and more intense strikes on Riyadh in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Oman was also struck at a country that is considered a mediator and has often defended Iran against the United States of America, and they are continuing with this matter. But this, of course, hinders the circumstances, and Iran is striking the entire region after all that happened, the assassination attempt on the Iranian supreme leader with extremely heavy bombs. And of course, there's a focus from the Iranian side on striking all these targets. They are focusing on Al Udeid Air Base because it's considered the largest US base located in the Arabian Gulf. But at the same time, strikes are also directed towards the Kingdom of Bahrain. And the strikes in Bahrain are heavily focused because it's the main headquarters of the US Fifth Fleet. It's also a crucial logistical zone. Notice even strikes hit civilian hotels unrelated to the US military. The US military isn't in these areas. Bahrain's airport was also hit. And it could be one of the circumstances that led Iran to strike Bahrain's airport. Specifically, IMATA is the well-known military activity that generally launches from Bahrain. For instance, logistical support aircraft for the USS Abraham Lincoln or reconnaissance missions over Iran usually operate this way. These are among the registered aircraft providing support for the USS Abraham Lincoln. You'll notice they launched from Bahrain. But furthermore, Bahrain International Airport has previously been utilized by American military aircraft, as was previously recorded on Flight Radar 25 Hana Akatani 4 for this particular aircraft, which is a C-40 Clipper that we can observe right here, which had previously flown in the direction of Diego Garcia from Bahrain all the way to Diego Garcia. As we observe through these recordings in Nikal, it's also clear that 124, which is one of the Emirati military cargo aircraft, Shan'ai flew to Bahrain and subsequently from Bahrain to Israel prior to this warlock. I know, of course, there were Hani and Dan, and there were 3 direct shipments to Israel. It remained unclear what exactly had been deployed from Israel to Bahrain, or if certain capabilities were specifically transferred from Bahrain to Israel in this particular way. These recordings therefore clearly indicate that we are dealing with an An-120 and a An-124 cargo aircraft. Furthermore, the Ali Al Salam Air Base in Kuwait was severely impacted by the Iranian side. Central Command has acknowledged that this strike will check out a flag which targeted this base for attack and led to the killing of 3 American soldiers in addition to injuring others. This means that the situation has developed. US forces were hit and things could escalate even further. Erbil. Iran and its allied armed factions are striking significantly. This is the specific airport where the U.S. Central Command is located. And of course, this is one of the general aircraft maintenance points that was hit in this way with continuous non-stop targeting. U.S. Central Command also confirmed there was an attack on the American aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln, but the missiles did not reach it and fell at a far distance. But Yemen has also begun to attack. Now, Iran is continuing its assaults right now, even as we speak. There are missiles currently flying in the direction of Israel, and at the same time, there is a significant amount and a major concentration. The largest attack was launched today on Israeli territory with large missiles of this kind. And the last night, we witnessed one of the strikes, which apparently came from a hypersonic missile. It was this missile that reached and struck one of these specific locations. Several points were hit across Israel, but they were all civilian targets. Up to this very moment, no military installations have been targeted by the Iranian side deep within Israeli territory, generally speaking. What's interesting is that the Arab Gulf states, specifically the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, according to what the American Fox News has reported, have requested the United States to actively participate in these operations and to fully engage in this battle because it is continuously striking without any consideration for the sovereignty of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And in fact, the breaking news also, approximately an hour ago, the United Arab Emirates confirmed the withdrawal of its ambassador and the closure of its embassy in Tehran, as well as the closure of the Iranian embassy.